The smell of salt and fried dough drifted together along the Santa Monica Pier, the air alive with music, laughter, and the mechanical groan of the Ferris wheel turning against the sky. It was one of those afternoons when the ocean glittered like broken glass, and the boardwalk felt like a stage where every stranger played a part. People walked with the loose confidence of vacationers, their guards down, believing that nothing truly bad could happen in a place built for joy. Lena felt that belief press against her like a memory she no longer trusted. She guided her wheelchair along the planks, hands practiced and strong despite the thin scars crossing her knuckles. The chair hummed softly as the wheels rolled over the wood, each vibration traveling up her arms. She had learned to read the pier by touch and sound, the slightly warped boards near the arcade, the smoother stretch by the food stalls, the subtle slope toward the railing where the smell of the sea grew sharper. It was her first time back here since the accident, and she had promised herself she wouldn't let fear steal this place from her too. She paused near the edge, turning her face toward the ocean. The breeze lifted loose strands of her hair and cooled the skin at her temples. For a moment she closed her eyes and let the noise fade into a distant roar, imagining she was just another person leaning on the railing, lost in the view. That was when the laughter started behind her. It wasn't the carefree laughter she'd grown used to tuning out. This was louder, edged with something sharp, the sound of men who believed the world owed them attention. Heavy boots scraped against the boards. The smell of beer cut through the sweetness of the pier. "Hey, move it," a voice said, too close, too aggressive. Lena opened her eyes and turned her chair slightly. A group of men stood behind her, broad-shouldered and tattooed, their clothes screaming confidence and ownership. One of them leaned forward, peering at her like she was an inconvenience rather than a person. "Didn't you hear?" Another one snorted. "Move, Cripple." The word hit her harder than she expected, even after years of hearing variations of it whispered or shouted. It was the casual cruelty that hurt most, the way he said it like it was a joke everyone should enjoy. "I'm not blocking you," Lena said, keeping her voice steady. "There's room to pass." One of them laughed again, stepping closer. "I don't feel like going around." Before she could react, a boot slammed into the side of her wheelchair. The jolt sent a sharp pain through her hips and spine, the world tilting as her hands flew to the armrests. A gasp tore from her throat, loud and involuntary. "Hey!" someone shouted from farther down the pier. But the sound was swallowed by the music and the crowd. Another kick followed, harder this time, aimed at the footrest. The chair skidded, metal screeching against wood. Panic flared hot and bright in Lena's chest. She tried to turn away, but her movements were slower than theirs, her body betrayed by the limits she knew too well. "Stop!" she yelled, fear breaking through her control. "Leave me alone." The men laughed, emboldened by the lack of immediate consequences. One of them raised his foot again, lining it up like this was a game. The kick never landed. A shadow fell over them, long and sudden, and a hand clamped around the man's ankle mid-swing. The grip was iron-strong, stopping the motion dead. The man cursed, stumbling backward as his foot was released. "What the hell?" He didn't finish the sentence. They were everywhere, appearing like a tide rolling in without warning. Leather vests, patches worn soft with age, engines rumbling low like distant thunder. Bikers stepped onto the pier from every direction, forming a loose circle that tightened with each heartbeat. Some dismounted, boots hitting the boards in unison. Others stayed astride their bikes, engines growling, eyes fixed and unblinking. Lena stared, breath caught in her chest. She hadn't heard them approach, hadn't sensed the shift in the air until it was too late to understand. Now the space around her felt charged, electric, the laughter gone, replaced by a silence that pressed down hard. The man who had grabbed the kicker's ankle stood at the front of the circle. He was tall, his beard threaded with gray, eyes like cold steel. He looked from the bullies to Lena, then back again, his jaw tightening. "You got a real problem," he said quietly. "Putting your hands on someone who can't fight back." One of the bullies scoffed, trying to recover bravado. "Mind your business." The biker smiled, but there was no humor in it. "It became my business the second you opened your mouth." More bikers closed in, their presence overwhelming. Tourists stopped walking, phones half raised, unsure whether to record or run. The Ferris wheel creaked overhead, oblivious to the tension below. Lena felt a hand rest gently on her shoulder. She flinched before she could stop herself, then relaxed when she saw it belonged to a woman in a vest, her expression calm and reassuring. "You okay?" the woman asked softly. Lena nodded, though her hands were still shaking. "I think so." The leader turned back to the bullies. "You got two choices," he said. "You apologize. You leave. Or you stay and learn why that was the wrong thing to do." The men looked around, finally seeing what they were up against. Their confidence cracked, replaced by uncertainty. One of them swallowed hard. "Whatever," he muttered. "We're leaving." They started to back away, but the circle didn't open immediately. The leader held up a hand. "Not yet." He looked at Lena again. "Did they hurt you?" She hesitated, pride warring with honesty. "They kicked my chair. I'm scared." That was enough. The bikers stepped aside just long enough for the bullies to realize escape was still possible, then closed ranks again. The leader leaned in, his voice low but carrying. "You don't get to walk away like nothing happened. You don't get to forget this." He straightened, nodding once. The circle opened. The bullies didn't wait for a second invitation. They fled, weaving through the crowd, disappearing into the noise and color of the pier. People began to murmur, the spell broken, life creeping back into motion. Lena sagged slightly in her chair, adrenaline draining away and leaving her exhausted. The woman biker knelt in front of her, meeting her eyes. "You're safe now," she said. "Take a breath." Lena did, the air trembling as it left her lungs. "Thank you," she whispered, the words feeling too small for what had just happened. The leader crouched beside her, lowering himself to her level. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said firmly. "Don't let anyone make you think you did." Tears blurred her vision, surprising her with their suddenness. She blinked them back, embarrassed, but no one looked away. No one judged. "I come here to feel normal," Lena said quietly. "I didn't want to hide." "You shouldn't have to," the woman replied. "And you don't." The bikers lingered a while, forming a loose barrier around Lena as the crowd slowly returned to its rhythm. Some offered water. Someone cracked a joke about the Ferris wheel being too slow. The tension eased, replaced by something warmer, something like belonging. Eventually, engines roared to life again, one by one. The leader stood, offering Lena a nod. "We're around," he said. "You ever feel unsafe, you find us." She watched as they left, the sea of leather and chrome flowing back onto the streets, leaving behind the echo of protection. When they were gone, the pier felt different. Not safer exactly, but clearer, like a truth had been exposed and couldn't be hidden again. Lena turned her chair toward the ocean once more. The sun dipped lower, painting the water in golden fire. Her body still ached, and the memory of the kicks would linger longer than she liked. But beneath it all, something else had taken root. She wasn't invisible. She wasn't alone. And no matter how loud the bullies shouted, there were voices louder still, ready to rise when it mattered most. As the Ferris wheel turned and the pier breathed around her, Lena smiled, small but real, and let the sound of the sea remind her that strength came in many forms, and sometimes it arrived on two wheels with a rumble like thunder.